Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Postgrad Solutions webinar service. Today's webinar is in partnership with Henley Business School, part of the University of Reading. Now, I hope everyone is well and keeping safe during these uncertain times. For those of you that are unsure of who postgrad.com are, we have been in the market for 10 years. We have been helping over 2 million students each year apply for their perfect postgraduate course. And I'm sure that you guys will be no different to all the viewers around the globe in following in their footsteps. Now, just before I pass you over to George, who's going to be today's guest speaker, as you can see from the screen, I do need to go through some house rules. So just to begin with, should you have any questions at all during this webinar service, please do ask during the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we will reach out to you personally. There will also be an option at the end of the call for a Q&A as well for 10 to 15 minutes. This presentation will be hosted on demand on postgrad.com, on social media channels, Facebook and YouTube, as well as Henley Business School promoting it for their future use, for their future promotional use. Finally, by being an attendee on this presentation, you do give permission to Henley Business School to reach out to you during the call. And should you wish to get any more information after the presentation, please contact Gareth at postgradsolutions.com. Now, just before I do hand you over to George, I do just want to make you aware it's myself, Postgrad Solutions, Gareth, my colleague Mike from Postgrad Solutions, as well as from Henley Business School, George, the narrator and the main speaker, along with recruitment specialists and panelists, Eloise, Kritika, and Vishali. For now, I'll hand over to George. If you guys have got any questions, please don't hesitate, and I will see you again at the end of the call for the Q&A. Until then, George, over to you.
Thank you very much, and hello everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you are well, and thank you very much for joining us for this presentation, wherever in the world you are. Unfortunately, due to the current situation, we are unable to actually welcome you on our beautiful campus. But having said that, I'm very glad that many of you were able to tune in today for this virtual open day. And for those of you that are wondering, this is an actual background. I'm not actually at Henley Business School. We're still not allowed to go back. So my name is George Alexandridis. I'm a professor and head of pre-experience postgraduate programs at Henley Business School. So I'm responsible for the strategic oversight of our entire portfolio of master's programs in the business school. The purpose of my presentation today is to provide you with, let's say, a general overview of Henley Business School and what you can expect as a student if you were to study here. So what really makes Henley Business School different? What is so different about it, and what you can expect if you were to decide to join us? After this, I also wanted to focus a little bit on the impact of COVID-19 on the global education market, as well as something that I'm sure you're very eager for me to talk about, which is how exactly do we intend to deliver our teaching in the autumn term 2020, given the current situation. So I'm pretty sure you've done your research, but for those of you who don't know, Henley Business School is the first business school in the UK. It was founded in 1945 after the Second World War, and in a little town called Henley, and that's where it got its name from as well, Henley Business School. And back at the time, it was called Henley Management College, and then renamed to Henley Business School when it actually merged with the University of Reading. Sorry, I was trying to change the slide here. A bit of a technical issue. So being the first business school, Henley would also like to think that Henley is also one of the leading business schools, and based on most rankings that you can see in your screen right now, we are in the top 10 in the UK as a business school. For executive education, in fact, we're in the top 5 in the UK according to the Economist and Financial Times rankings. For masters, which is of interest to you, we're in the top 8 for masters in finance, and UK top 3 for careers progress, and for masters in management, we're in the top 4 in the UK for careers progress. While we're also, of course, in the top 100 in the world in the QS masters in management ranking. And last, Henley is also one of the 90 business schools in the world that are triple accredited from AACSB, EQUIS, and AMBA accrediting bodies. This is our portfolio of master's programs. You are probably interested or have applied to one or more of these programs, and you will have a chance to attend presentations for each of these program areas at some point in the future, and the marketing team can make these available to you. So these are all our postgraduate programs basically, and you're very welcome to ask me in the end of this presentation any questions you might have about any of these programs that are of interest. But I wanted to take a few minutes to explain our teaching and learning philosophy and how your experience will be different here. So at Henley, we have developed a teaching and learning philosophy based on 5 simple building blocks. The first one is that research has shown that the very first thing on your minds, on students' minds, is basically their career after graduation. And as part of your studies at Henley, you will have access to what we call a transformative careers development program, which will include things like one-to-one careers coaching with dedicated careers advisors, all based in the Henley Business School building. These careers advisors will be, in each case, specializing in your program of interest. It will also include a number of weekly workshops, master classes, panel discussions delivered from senior professionals from leading companies in the City of London and elsewhere, and things like weekly news and updates on careers opportunities available to our students. And of course, depending on your program of choice, you may also get access to things like placement opportunities, interviews with employers, company visits, careers fairs, and so on and so forth. There's a more detailed slide later on careers. But I think the fact that the majority of our students, for many of the programs that you're interested in, are in jobs 3 months after graduation reflects well that we are a business school. We would like to think we are a business school that takes careers very seriously, and we have built this transformational careers program that really aims to support you with your careers aspirations. The second bullet point in this slide, the second cornerstone of this philosophy, is employability skills. And we are currently working on further redesigning our programs. The purpose of this is to embed even more employability skills sought after by major employers. And we want to embed this. The aim is to embed more of these employability skills in the actual program curriculum. I guess that by undertaking a master's or by considering undertaking a master's, depending on what stage you are in your application, other than learning more about the recent trends and developments in your market of interest, you will also be looking to improve your self-awareness, your communication skills, your networking skills, to become more curious, more technology-driven, technology-ready, as we say. These are equally important skills that employers are looking for increasingly when employing master's graduates. And I would say that our programs are built exactly with such skills in mind. One of the most important things Henley is famous for is our practice-based teaching and learning approach. And that's the third bullet point on this slide. We want our students to acquire skills that they will genuinely be able to use when interviewing to secure a job. And indeed, later, when they have secured a job and they're working for a desk, whether that is a big bank, an investment fund, a consulting firm, an accounting firm, a corporate, a real estate company, and so on. So our courses are designed with all these practical skills in mind. And to be honest, this is also my own personal motto: more practice and technology, less theory. So that's what you can expect, I guess. The fourth bullet point, engagement with the industry, is also something Henley we invest more and more in. And we always aim to engage with the big players. Our academics tend to, as I will also show you later, they also tend to be leading authorities in their field, collaborating very closely with the industry. Major banks, boutique banks, consulting firms, corporates, IT companies, and so on, recruit directly from us. And some of the senior practitioners visit Henley to deliver talks to our students. But the reason we do our best to engage with the industry is, of course, to cement our reputation in the market and improve your chances, our students' chances of securing a good job after graduation. The last bullet point here, last but not least, is the student experience. Your experience here is ultimately, I would say, our top priority. We want our alumni to remember the time in the UK forever, if possible, as one of the best periods in your lives. And we want you to spread the word to others. The reason is, of course, we believe that we can only succeed as a business school if our students truly enjoy their time here. And when they go on and do well in life. So your experience and listening to our students' needs is really at the very center of everything we do. Right, so talking about practice-centered approach, depending on the program of your choice, the curriculum of your program may, for instance, include real-world simulations. It could be trading simulations or investment banking simulations if you're interested in finance. It could be valuation simulation if you're interested in real estate. It could be case or scenario-based projects, such as working on business projects for real companies if you're studying business and management. It could be undertaking short work placements, going on field trips, study visits. Our management students last year, and there's some of the images you can see now. Our management students last year went to Moscow. Entrepreneurship students went to Poland. Masters in finance and masters in international shipping and finance students went to Greece. MSc marketing went to Paris. MSc real estate went to Manchester for the main field trip, and so on. So as part of this, you can expect, obviously, plenty of opportunities to network with industry professionals. And depending, again, on your program of your choice, you may be taking part to visits, in visits to leading companies and organizations, or attending master classes delivered by industry senior practitioners, and so on. So all of this, our practice-centered approach, is designed to go the extra mile in terms of equipping you with experiences and employability skills that many of our graduates say that they tend to, in fact, prove instrumental later in their lives. And this is another element of our teaching and learning approach that I think makes makes Henley quite different. Most of our faculty professors, I would say, tend to be quite practice-oriented and leading authorities in their field. So we work closely with government organizations. We work closely with major businesses, while our research tends to focus on the most recent trends and developments in the different industries, which is why we often appear on national TV, and of course the world's most famous journals and newspapers. So these, what you can see on your screen here, are only a few from the last few weeks, and our contribution during these difficult times of COVID-19 has mainly focused on the coronavirus pandemic, and in particular on its impact on the world economy and businesses in general. The reason why I mentioned all this is that you might agree with me, it does make a big difference attending classes where you hear a lot about the most recent trends and developments in a given sector. And this, of course, helps our students to improve the market awareness and I would say compete in an increasingly competitive job market. So if you're exposed to the latest research and working on inquiry-based projects, it also helps something I mentioned earlier, your curiosity. Curiosity is fast becoming one of the key employability skills employers that I speak to are looking for in graduates. So I think it's really important because it has been shown that curious employees are more effective in coming up with more appropriate solutions, for instance, and are better able to identify information to support sales pitches and so on. And being exposed to the latest research and information is, I would say, instrumental in improving exactly these skills. As a business school, we also invest heavily in our careers development. I mentioned this earlier. And this, I think, is one of the most important elements of our philosophy, which is building a careers development program that can really make a difference. The aim here is to help you achieve your aims in the future, really. Our careers program includes things like workshops, you can see here on the left, webinars on CVs, employability skills, the state of the careers market, you name it. It includes careers fairs, recruitment days, networking and guest speaker events. So basically loads of employer-facing events, which I guess you're probably after. And of course, unlimited, that's quite important, coaching one-to-one session with a specialized careers consultant of your choice. And the aim of this is basically to decide what you want and what are the best choices for you. You need to be self-aware. Self-awareness is key here. If you're self-aware, you can really make the best choices for you. You can build your own career map. Each of our students, that we like to think, has their own preferences and aims in life. And you need to be able to build your own careers map and navigate through this map. Understanding your strengths and how to explain them, how to sell them. And of course, ultimately succeed in your applications, assessments, and of course, into your career. And here the main sectors on the right-hand side, you can see the graph here of our MSc students are typically interested in and employed at. And the key ones, of course, being from management, marketing, consultancy, accountancy, big data, financial services, of course, real estate, corporate services, and so on. Our student success stories are a good, I think, testament to the great work our careers team is doing. And this is also probably reflected in the national survey, where the vast majority of our graduates are employed after graduation, as well as our rankings, where Henley is typically ranked in the top 3 or top 4 in the UK for careers progress. Something else I mentioned earlier, this is the last pillar of our approach. It is about the student experience. If you come to Henley, you will probably realize, and that's what one of our alumnus mentioned to me this year. He said, I could tell that you really see your students as your stakeholders. If you are satisfied and happy and remember your time here, that's in the end of the day what is going to make Henley reputable and successful, and we absolutely recognize this. This is a two-way relationship, and as part of our approach, we always put the student experience first. The UK government runs a student satisfaction survey every year. For PG students, this is called PTES, or Postgraduate Taught Experience Survey. You might want to look it up. As a business school in 2019, we scored more than 85% for most of our program areas. That is overall student satisfaction, which if you do your research, you will see that is a very good number. It's among the highest in the country. And I think this reflects well that our own students, basically what our own students think about us. And I strongly encourage you to speak to our students. If you were to apply to Henley Business School, speak to someone from your program. That's really important. And you can do this via our app that we have on our website, the Unibuddy app, where you can speak to other current students, for instance. Speaking to students and alumni about their experience, I think is very important in making a final choice for a master's program. On the photos here, you can see some moments from last year's graduation. In the middle top is actually myself in Shanghai. Every year we make sure we visit a number of cities. Unfortunately, we can't do that right now due to the COVID-19. We like to go out there and meet and network with our alumni. Henley has 80,000 strong alumni network in 160 countries. So we always try to stay close to our alumni and support them post-graduation. For those of you not from the UK, obviously, or haven't studied there before, for those of you that are tuned in from abroad, just some basic information on Reading and on campus. And of course, Henley being the business school of the University of Reading, it is based in Reading, and Reading has 400,000 population, is one of the biggest cities or towns, close to London. It's around 25 minutes from London, Paddington. In fact, I live in London myself, so I commute to work every day with a fast train. So Reading is very close to London, but it's also much cheaper from a living cost perspective to live in Reading than to live in London, of course. It is predicted to be the fastest growing city in the UK by 2021. And that's obviously due to its location and close proximity to London, as I mentioned earlier. So there's a lot of development and investment in that region at the moment. And on the bottom left, you can see a photo of River Thames crossing Reading. And the riverside is really beautiful. It has a vibrant nightlife. I think generally it's a great student city to be in. And due to its more affordable commercial real estate, Reading has also become the information technology center of the UK. So it's home to a large number of IT and media companies like Huawei, Oracle, Virgin, as well as consulting firms like KPMG, PwC, and more recently, a large number of boutique banks and startups that have established a base in Reading as well. This is our campus. Unfortunately, you're not able to visit right now due to COVID-19. The weather is not always as nice. I guess those of you from the UK would know that. It tends to rain more often in England, but we do get a fair share of sunshine as well. On the top left is our White Knights campus, where you would be studying if you were to join the business school. I can honestly say I have been around in the UK, worked in different places and environments, And the White Knights campus is, I think personally, one of the most inspiring ones I've been. I don't just say that because I work here. It has won a number of awards, including the Queen's Award. It's a really beautiful campus with 130 hectares of parkland with a lake. I would generally say a great place to study, honestly. On the bottom left, you can see the business school building where you would be studying, and on the bottom right, it's our second campus at Henley, which is a town 20 minutes from Reading, which is where Henley Business School was originally based, and that's where it took its name from, as I mentioned earlier. It was actually named after the town's name, which, by the way, is really beautiful campus, and most visitors are genuinely impressed by the natural beauty of our campus at Henley. And talking about our campus, in the last few years, the University of Reading and Henley Business School have heavily invested in state-of-the-art facilities on campus, including a new library. The building of the new library cost around £70 million. And you can see a little bit of, you can get an idea a bit of how it looks inside from the image on the bottom on the right here. The Henley and ICMA Centre buildings seen here on the top, the two images on the top, are also equipped with the most, I would say, recent technology and software for your studies. And there's also ample study space in that our students tend to utilize during their course. There has also been a lot of investment in student accommodation, with a number of modern accommodation options within White Knights campus. And these are very, I would say, close proximity to Henley. I think most of our students are typically based within a 300 meters radius from Henley Business School. So it's all conveniently located in one place, really. And also most student accommodation buildings are typically located 50-20 minutes walk from the city center, or 5-10 minutes or a 5-10 minutes bus ride. Since you don't have the opportunity to actually visit us physically right now and see our campus, you can scan this barcode and there's a mini virtual tour of the business school and other places in the university campus, which is where you would be studying. And you can, of course, access the presentation video later, I think, so don't worry about scanning it right now. Right. After this general information, for the second part of this, I just wanted to focus a little bit on a topic that I think everyone attending today would have an interest in. Ultimately, the big question here is, given the COVID-19 situation, how will Henley deliver its teaching in the autumn term 2020? And I'm certain this is probably instrumental in your final choice of a master's program. And indeed, might I say, in your decision to whether or not to even invest in a master's program this year. In the last few weeks, we have experienced probably one of the biggest changes in the history of business and of education. So you had billions of employees, school and university students, they all moved their work online. So we moved education from campus to bedrooms, living rooms, kitchens, you name it. So in March and April, the use of platforms we use to facilitate online learning, such as Zoom, Teams, Tencent Classroom, and so on, as you can see here on the slide, was up 200%. And we might recognize that this was ultimately a historic moment, I would say. So the reason I think that is obviously the COVID-19 crisis. We will get through one way or the other eventually. I think there's no question about that. I'm not sure how long it will take. But many people claim that in many ways, the crisis has reshaped how we work and study forever. Many people, of course, on the other hand, including myself, by the way, will have a preference of going to the office or teaching my students in the classroom rather than doing it virtually. And of course, the same might go for you. life on campus can be much more fun and engaging than attending classes online. But it is also true that our experience with virtually all universities around the world transitioning to online classes in the last few months also highlighted that, you know, there are some important benefits of online learning. As you can see here on the slide, for instance, participants tend to retain significantly more information, research has found, when learning online, and you know, be more willing, for example, to ask questions and have their questions answered, of course, on live discussion boards than when they're part of a classroom environment. So I would say the need to adapt to the new environment highlighted some of the benefits of flexibility in learning, exactly as it highlighted that, you know, under certain circumstances, working from home, and I'm sure some of you might have moved in working from home recently, can come with significant benefits to both employees and also businesses as well. So as a result of all this, EdTech, education technology, as you can see here on the slide, the first bullet point, has become, I would say, the next new thing. So we have 20 billions of investment into EdTech in 2019. Now this is expected to completely skyrocket going forward. The overall online education market is predicted to reach 350 billion in only 5 years. And we have increasing investment in fast internet. We have 5G now around the world being installed. So going forward, I would think one can expect a much transformed education market, offering products that combine the benefits of both face-to-face and virtual learning. And as a business school, that's exactly also where we're focusing as well. When it became apparent that universities will close in March for the first time in the history of our master's programs, we actually needed to move all our operations, all our teaching, all our services online. Luckily, we had strong experience there, 50 years experience of running flexible learning programs, and that paid off. And so we were among those that I would say were already very well prepared for transitioning very quickly. And in fact, before we even closed completely as a university, our buildings, we started implementing some degree of social distancing. So we said to our students, you're welcome to come to class, but material for your classes will also be made available or broadcasted live. And so one way we did this is through our lecture capture technology, which we have installed in some of our lecture theaters. And that uses media equipment and software developed by a company owned by Sony. It's called MediaSite. And our students can view the classroom live. And that's actually me down there in the right corner on the slide. And our students can also view the presentation at the same time and any software or whiteboard we're using and so on. And they can, of course, also take part in answering questions via integrated survey platforms that we use. But beyond this, Henley is also equipped with other technology to deliver classes flexibly, whether this is live sessions or through professional recordings coupled with live Q&A sessions. So we typically utilize software such as Blackboard Collaborate for live sessions, or a software called Camtasia for professional recordings, and Microsoft Teams for small group meetings and for our teaching in many cases. So we are, I would say, equipped with the whole, how should we say this, arsenal of required to be able to deliver a high quality and, of course, truly interactive, because you know that's key here, learning experience. And these are some of the tools we've deployed during the last few months to transition to online learning. And these tools are exactly also in the center of the flexible approach we have designed for the autumn term 2020, which is developed with a view of complying with social distancing rules to protect basically the safety of our students and staff, of course. The other important element in flexible learning is resources, and we are also working on a comprehensive plan to make all resources available remotely to our students. And we do this through our software deployment platform called Apps Anywhere. And we also work closely with our vendors of platforms, such as the ones you can see here on this slide, and databases, to offer our students basically access whether they are on campus or indeed anywhere in the world. So all this leads us to the main question here, which is that if you choose to come to Henley Business School, given the current situation, what can you really expect? How would we deliver our teaching? Would our campus be open? We will deliver teaching face-to-face, and so on and so forth. And reality is that we will all have to, I would say, adapt to the new reality. And to accommodate the need to adapt, flexibility that I mentioned earlier is key. And we have derived, I think, a very comprehensive plan based on 3 pillars. The first one is flexibility. The second one is safety, very important. And of course, a top-class student experience that you would expect from a triple accredited business school. So, the first thing is that we have delayed the start of our master's programs. So the new start date is 2 weeks later, on the 12th of October, 2020, with potential enrollment for those that need more time to clear English and any other conditions, or feel a bit safer about returning back to campus, of course, enrollment being possible up to the 4th of November. On the 12th of October, we'll have an online welcome and orientation. So online welcome and orientation activities will be delivered online for safety purposes on the 12th and 13th. That will be a very comprehensive welcome, including online enrollment, welcome from the dean, welcome from orientation with your program area director. You will meet your program director, you will meet your classmates through interactive sessions, and so on and so forth. Our campus will be open. That's the current plan. I mean, no one knows what the future holds, but we plan to have our campus open and our accommodation, and we really look forward to welcoming as many of those that apply and are accepted to our courses, as many of them as possible, to join us on campus. For those that join us off campus, there will be some face-to-face activity, teaching and learning activity, including things like seminars, workshops, where possible. Again, all this is subject to the wider national and international situation, as well as the evolving UK government advice that is changing. But at the moment, we are confident that we will be able, subject to social distancing rules, to deliver face-to-face activities. The full array of learning activities, and that's where the flexible approach kicks in, will also be delivered interactively online, with a plan to resume face-to-face learning activities as soon as possible, really. I mean, I mentioned earlier that I really look forward to going back to the classroom myself, at least. The safety of our students and staff has to be, during these difficult times, in the center of all this. And the university is currently putting a very comprehensive safety plan in place, including things like, safety advice guidance. There will be social distancing on campus. If anyone wants to ask me exactly what that means later on, I'm very happy to explain. But there will be social distancing rules on campus and in the classroom. Our buildings will be cleaned more frequently. There will be hand sanitization points and so on and so forth. But of course, we recognize that not all of you will be able to travel to the UK. I mean, those of you that are not in the UK at the moment, you might not be able to travel. Or indeed, you might not feel comfortable to do so. So we have catered for this, and we have designed a flexible offering that I think is quite balanced. It's interactive, which is the key element that you should be looking for here. And I think what we had in mind is we've designed this to replicate as closely as possible the face-to-face student experience. This will include delivering our lectures online, our seminars and workshops synchronously live online. It will include interactive drop-in Q&A sessions and individual online appointments with our professors. We will utilize social media and virtual collaboration rooms for additional interaction between our students to work on your projects and so on. And other elements, so we are working further on this plan to further enrich it during the summer. Access to resources and specialized software to commence your studies online with a view to joining later on. And something that is, of course, really important, Henley Careers, we plan to deliver the full suite of our Henley Careers program online. And that will include things like employer-facing and guest speaker events that I mentioned earlier, careers fairs, recruitment days, unlimited one-to-one coaching sessions with our specialized careers consultants, and so on. So this is our plan, and we continuously keep working on our plan as we go. But I guess at this stage, I'd like to thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll be very happy to take any questions that you might have. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, George. I'm sure everyone will agree watching that. It's been a very insightful, very engaging presentation from yourself. So thank you very much for that. I'm hoping that everybody that is viewing and is interested in applying at Henley Business School will certainly see this as an opportunity to educate themselves further. We're now going to have a Q&A session for which I will ask the questions on behalf of the students that have been watching this webinar. So what I will do, George, is I'll read out the question and I'll let you answer it.
Yeah.
The first question, which does tie in very nicely with your last slide, I appreciate that, was it's from Tom from London, was if I move to Reading for Henley Business School, what social distancing measures will be in place to ensure my safety?
So at the moment, the university is working on a comprehensive plan, as I mentioned earlier, on social distancing. And everyone is thinking the same. Everyone is concerned, be it staff or students, about how exactly this is going to work. So there will be social distancing both on campus, in the accommodation blocks, and central control measures as well. And most importantly, in the classroom. So for example, a classroom that has that fits 120 students, we will only put in there, for instance, 20 students. All right. So I think that's quite important, because the classroom environment is really where we need to work harder to preserve the safety. That of course means that timetabling wise, we will face some challenges that we are very confident that, and we've already resolved most of them. Essentially, we want to provide a very safe environment for our students. So all our plan, and will be announced in due course during the summer. I can assure you, I've seen some key building blocks of it, and I think it looks very comprehensive, very serious, and I think it's probably the best that can be done under the circumstances. Excellent, thank you very much. I hope that I haven't been, every single university at the moment is working exactly on this. So I do not have the answers exactly, especially given government advice. We always need to take on board UK government advice. This is continuously evolving, and therefore we will come up with an announcement of the exact measures we will be taking to ensure. But the plans that I've seen look very, very comprehensive at the moment.
Fantastic. Thanks, George. Another question I've got from you, which comes from the UK, is taking into account the current restrictions, will there be enough contact hours to effectively use the expertise of the lecturers?
I think that's a very good question. And I mentioned, I think earlier, that at the very center of our design of our teaching and learning approach, this is the first thing that, when I went to people and I said, we need to design a flexible learning program that replicates as closely as possible what we do face to face. This was a key building block in it. So absolutely yes is the answer, whether you choose to join us on campus or whether indeed, you join us at least at the start of your course remotely. There will be sufficient drop-in sessions with the professors and teaching assistants or whatever it might be, where you in fact probably will give you more face-to-face time than you would get otherwise, might I say, for a number of reasons. So the answer is absolutely yes on this.
Sure. Okay. Which probably leads me on quite nicely to the next question in terms of what financial help is on offer for students at Henley Business School?
I wonder perhaps if Eloise wanted to field this.
Yeah, of course. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry, Eloise. So the question was, what financial help is on offer for students at Henley Business School?
Of course. So we have more than 100 scholarships that are available for students coming to study their master's programme with us across all of our programme areas. So when you make your application and receive either your conditional or unconditional offer to study at Henley, you'll then be eligible to apply for one of our scholarships. So it is a separate application process, but I'll pop a link to our scholarships page on the website in the chat box, and if you'd like to discuss the application process for scholarships in more detail, then please contact us and we'd be happy to take you through that.
Excellent, thank you, Eloise. Another question would be, could you explain a little bit more about what's the plan for your flexible master programs? I know you've touched upon it already, George, but if you can just go into a little bit more detail about the plan and what that entails.
Yeah, first on the previous question on the scholarships, I'd also like to add that we have still a number of unallocated scholarships. So please, if you're a strong student, please do make sure you apply for the scholarships, the dedicated scholarships to our programs, the application of which you can find online. And after, of course, you've launched your application first, because you need to have an application number. About a flexible approach, I think I think the last slide that you'll be able to also access is key here. And I think the reason we call it flexible is because it allows for three things. Number one is you're someone who comes on campus, right? But is not certain of whether you want to attend all face-to-face activities. So you are able to do for some of them, and then for some others, you feel more comfortable attending them from your accommodation block, for instance, and then take advantage of other things and other development opportunities we have for face-to-face deliveries, such as, for example, in careers. The second is someone who is unable or doesn't feel comfortable coming to campus to start with in the first place, and for instance, plans to come to campus in sort of November or even later, may I say, in January. And we hope that, this situation would have resolved by that time, because no one has a year of their lives to waste, really. And the third is indeed, someone who wants to maximize, or who is able to maximize, the face-to-face time we're going to offer. That's the reason really why we call it flexible. Now, I think that the online part of it has been, we had 3 or 4 slides as part of this presentation. So I urge you to view the presentation again. And, there's some analysis in what we've just talked about of the key building blocks, I'd say, of that plan of how we intend to deliver online. But we said earlier that flexibility will include you not having to, join in the classroom physically. And so the whole array of activities that you would have, experienced coming to the classroom, it's going to be made available online. That is the idea behind the flexible plan.
Excellent, thank you. Final 2 or 3 questions, George and Eloise, whoever else may be answering them. So, how many one-to-one coaching sessions may we have with specialised career consultants? I know you've touched upon it already, George, but I think it's a key USP for you guys.
Yes, absolutely. The answer is unlimited. Our students go online, they book their sessions, and typically you have careers consultants saying, guys, please book more sessions rather than we're fully booked, if you know what I'm saying. So there are people who will make better use of our services and people who will follow their own way and for whatever reason won't. But the answer is I've come across individuals who have literally be having throughout the year a couple of appointments or even more with specialized careers consultants of their choice. So very easy, you go online, you book these appointments. And remember that this year we intend to do this flexibly. So you'll be able to do it probably some of it on campus, but some of it through Teams, with a video call with the careers consultant. So unlimited is the answer. We will support you with any resources that are available to us. We have plenty of careers consultants specializing in different areas of business studies, and each of them, some of them were prior practitioners in the market, all experts in coaching, and so as a result, we will provide you with all the support you need for your careers aspirations.
Excellent, thank you very much. Guy, thank you for all the questions. We will just finish off with 2 more questions. I'm just conscious of time, overrunning your time, everyone else's time. So one question was, do you work with local and or international recruiters?
Yeah, I'll take that question. When we say recruiters, we have to be clear what we mean here. If we actually talking about whether we're talking about intermediaries, i.e. agents, or whether we're talking about corporates, banks, and so on. So we work directly, we have an employers relations team that is working directly with, exactly what it says on the tin, with the employers to make sure the provision is made to them, all the necessary resources and provisions are made to them so they can recruit directly from us. So the answer is yes, we do work with the companies that recruit our students. And many of our students are able to, whether it is secure interviews or get jobs through the opportunities that are made available through our careers office and our specialized careers consultants, because that will also vary and depend exactly on what exactly is that you're studying as well.
Excellent. And one final question for you, George, before we wrap things up. Is could you touch a bit more on the Henley Business School campus that's located at Henley? Again, I know you've touched upon it already. Are lectures held at the location, or is it mainly used for just Henley Business School events? Obviously, I know the answer to that, but if you want to inform all of the viewers here exactly where the courses will be held, if you've got any other campuses around the globe that they might be able to study from.
So that's a good question. I think the question is really, there are negative experiences of you see a very nice building and that building has one lecture theatre and therefore no one actually utilizes it. But it's not the case with us. Of course, this is, again, this year we have to make use of the wider university facilities more than usual. I have to be clear in this because of the social distancing rule. So when you have to split, and depending, again, no one knows, it's very big unknown how many students will arrive this year. We wouldn't necessarily expect the same number we had last year, for instance. It would probably be less as with all our universities around the world. But the answer is that yes, we do our students utilize our facilities as much as possible, but they also utilize the wider White Knight campus facilities, which is basically within the same campus anyway. So the answer is you will be based within the White Knights campus, University of Reading facilities, and you'll be heavily utilizing those facilities, including the ones in the business schools, as much as possible.
Excellent, thank you, George. I appreciate that question. The answer to that question was a little bit crackly towards the end, so if anybody wants to know the answer to that question in more detail, please, we'll live chat you now, and we're more than happy to reach out to you personally. For now, thank you very much. Just a reminder, this has been a Postgrad Solutions webinar service. Thank you to George, Eloise, the other panelists that are on here. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for informing everybody. Hopefully that will come on and apply to Henley Business School. Just a reminder to all the viewers here, if you have any more questions, any more issues, any concerns at all regarding COVID-19 and how it can affect your future education, please visit postgrad.com, Henley Business School's website, or reach out to myself, Gareth, at postgradsolutions.com. For now, thank you very much. Everyone stay safe. And until the next webinar, we'll see you then. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.